Welcome back to Sex Education Repo, your home for all things education. Today, we're embarking on a wild journey back in time, exploring a history you definitely weren't taught in school. We're diving deep into the bizarre, sometimes dangerous, and often downright strange history of birth control. From ancient concoctions to the revolutionary invention that gave people unprecedented control over their bodies, this is the story of humanity's long and winding quest for reproductive freedom. Before we had modern science and the options available today, people got creative. Extremely creative. Let's travel back more than 3,500 years to ancient Egypt, where one of the earliest recorded contraceptive recipes can be found in a medical text known as the Ebers Papyrus. This ancient scroll suggested a rather unique mixture. It called for combining acacia honey, dates, and crocodile dung. Yes, you heard that right. This mixture was to be formed into a paste and used as a pessary, inserted before intimacy. Now, while the crocodile dung part sounds purely magical and a bit gross, there might have been a sliver of science behind it. The high acidity of crocodile dung could have acted as a spermicide, creating an inhospitable environment. Furthermore, the acacia gum, when fermented, produces lactic acid, a compound still used in some modern contraceptive gels today. So, while their ingredients were unconventional, the ancient Egyptians were onto something. They understood the concept of creating a barrier and altering the internal environment. It was a fascinating, if messy, first step in a very long journey. Let's jump forward to ancient Greece and Rome, where intellectuals like Hippocrates and Pliny the Elder pondered the issue. They documented a wide array of plant-based methods. One of the most famous and sought after was a plant called silphium. Silphium grew only in a small region of modern-day Libya and was so valuable that its image was stamped onto coins. It was believed to be an incredibly effective oral contraceptive, taken as a tincture or by consuming the seeds. Demand was so high that the plant was literally harvested into extinction by the 1st century AD. Other less than appetizing suggestions from the era included drinking the water a blacksmith used to cool hot metals. The logic, however flawed, was that the harshness of the metal-infused water would somehow prevent conception. Unfortunately, this was essentially a recipe for lead poisoning, a dangerous and potentially fatal practice. As we move into the Middle Ages in Europe, knowledge from the ancient world was often lost or suppressed. Contraceptive methods became intertwined with folklore, superstition, and herbal remedies passed down through generations, often in secret. Women would rely on amulets, charms, or performing specific rituals they believed would ward off pregnancy. For instance, some texts suggested that a woman wearing a weasel's testicles in a pouch around her neck would be protected. These methods were, of course, entirely ineffective and based on magical thinking rather than any biological understanding. Herbal knowledge, however, persisted. Plants like Queen Anne's lace, whose seeds were said to have contraceptive properties, were used for centuries. Women would chew the seeds or make them into a tea, a practice that has some basis in modern scientific study, as some compounds in the plant can disrupt the implantation process. But dosing was impossible to standardize, making it unreliable and risky. The Renaissance and the Enlightenment brought a renewed interest in science and the human body, but progress in contraception was slow. One of the most famous figures of the 18th century, Giacomo Casanova, documented his own experiments. He famously described using the hollowed-out half of a lemon as a makeshift cervical cap. The logic was twofold: the lemon's shape would act as a physical barrier, and its high citric acid content would act as a spermicide. It was an ingenious, if not entirely comfortable, DIY solution. This period saw the rise of the first modern-ish barrier method, the condom. Early versions were made from linen sheets or animal intestines, tied off with a ribbon. They were expensive, reusable, and primarily intended for disease prevention among soldiers and patrons of brothels, not for family planning. Then came the Victorian era, a time of intense social prudishness on the surface, but a hotbed of innovation behind closed doors. The invention of vulcanized rubber by Charles Goodyear in the 1840s was a game-changer. This new, durable, and flexible material led to the mass production of rubber condoms, making them more affordable and accessible. It also led to the creation of various devices, often marketed discreetly as feminine hygiene products to circumvent strict obscenity laws like the Comstock Act in the United States, which made it illegal to send contraceptive information or devices through the mail. These devices included rubber cervical caps and diaphragms, often called womb veils. A woman would have to visit a doctor to be fitted for one, and they required a certain level of comfort and knowledge about one's own anatomy to use correctly. But for the first time, women had a reusable, relatively effective method that was entirely under their control. Still, all these methods were either messy, cumbersome, or required action at the moment of intimacy. The dream of a simple, foolproof method, something you could just take and forget about, remained elusive. That is, until a series of seemingly unrelated scientific discoveries collided. In the early 20th century, scientists finally understood the hormonal cycle that governs ovulation. They realized that the hormones progesterone and estrogen play a key role in preventing the release of an egg during pregnancy. The question became, could introducing these hormones into the body artificially trick it into thinking it was already pregnant, thus preventing ovulation? The idea was revolutionary, but there were major hurdles. The hormones had to be synthesized in a lab, and a way had to be found for them to be absorbed orally without being destroyed by the digestive system. This is where a chemist named Russell Marker comes in. In the 1940s, he was on a quest for a cheap, abundant source of progesterone. He found it in a completely unexpected place, a species of wild Mexican yam. Marker developed a process to synthesize progesterone from the yam, a breakthrough that made the mass production of the hormone possible. His discovery caught the attention of two passionate activists, Margaret Sanger, a nurse who had dedicated her life to advocating for birth control, and Catherine McCormick, a biologist and wealthy heiress. They provided the vision and the funding to make the dream a reality. They enlisted the help of a brilliant but controversial biologist, Gregory Pincus, and a Catholic doctor, John Rock. Together, this unlikely team conducted the first human trials of an oral contraceptive. In 1960, the FDA approved Enovid, the world's first birth control pill. The world was never the same. The pill, as it came to be known, was more than just a medical breakthrough, it was a social and cultural earthquake. It gave individuals an unprecedented level of control over their reproductive lives, separating intimacy from procreation in a way that had never been possible before. It empowered people to plan their families, pursue education, and enter the workforce on their own terms. The journey from crocodile dung and magic amulets to a tiny, powerful pill took thousands of years, fueled by human ingenuity, scientific curiosity, and a persistent desire for self-determination. The history of birth control is a testament to our ongoing quest to understand and have agency over our own bodies. It's a story of strange science, brave pioneers, and an accidental discovery in a wild yam that truly changed the course of human history. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through time as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Sex Education Repo, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time.